Welcome. Let's do the summary of Down to Earth for the October month. Now, here the first important thing is within the refugee and the migrant population, the risk of antimicrobial resistance is very high because they are more prone to infections. They live in a scenario where healthcare facilities are disrupted and they have poor access to the healthcare facility. The next is the concept of cheetah, the return of cheetah in India. We have already covered the difference between cheetah, leopard, and jaguar in a separate class. To come back here, the reintroduction took place in the Kunu National Park. It is the Kunu Palpur National Park, and the Narodi Wildlife Sanctuary in Madhya Pradesh, and Shahgarh would be the next one in Rajasthan, where the cheetah would be brought. Only 67% of the cheetah population reside outside the protected area, and the growth rate is lower than those which are inside. So when they are in their natural surroundings, the growth rate of the cheetah is relatively low. World overall has 7,000 cheetah, of which Asiatic cheetahs are only 12. Most of them that we see are the African cheetah. African cheetah are in the vulnerable category. The reintroduction started back in 1970s. Then there was a drop in the plan with the Supreme Court orders. 10 sites were finalized in 2009. Finally, there was a long journey through which it was brought, and in 2022 the cheetahs were brought to India after the clearance and the various vaccination schedules. Now the protocol includes health screening, vaccination, quarantine rules which have to be strictly followed. If we talk about the history, during the time of Akbar there were nearly 9,000 cheetah in the region of India. India during that time, there was trophy hunting for cheetah, which was one of the popular sports during 1800s, and in 1947 the last 3 cheetah were shot dead by Maharaja Ramanuj Pratap Singh Dev in the region of Chhattisgarh. Since then, in 1952, India officially declared cheetah as extinct, and there have been plans to bring back cheetah into India. The gradual transition has been seen. In the initial stage, male cheetah have been brought, and then the female cheetahs would be brought, and there would be a continuous surveillance for next 10 years. The age of the cheetah cub would be there for nearly 16 to 17 months before they are dispersed into the forest area, and this would be done for next 2 generations. The movement would be monitored 24/7, and the idea is to have cheetah, tiger, lions and hyenas in one ecosystem, because that's what technically it has to be there. The main food for cheetah is spotted deer. The 8 cheetahs which were brought are Siaya, Asha, Tiblis, Sasha, Savannah, Elton and Oban. The details of those are mentioned here. 2 of them were malnourished and were actually fed and then brought into a healthy state and then brought to India. There have been various residents who have been raising the concern about bringing cheetah into the region because it could disrupt the local area, and the translocation, since it is from a different region which is actually a breed of African cheetah, their existence in India and their acclimatization in India is another question that has to be taken over. The next is the plastic threat in the ocean area. Now we have seen plastic as one of the major concerns, specifically in water. China, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand and Vietnam have been considered as one of those countries which are overproducing and exploiting water because of the plastic waste, and the global north, we can say, is also having a huge waste export, and this is known as waste colonialism, because they are exporting those waste to these developed nations, these Asian nations, and then they are blaming these Asian nations for plastic pollution. The next is the wheat scenario globally. We have seen with the Ukraine crisis and heat waves, the production of wheat has been badly hit. In India also, the export of the grained rice, the chopped rice, we can say, has been banned. This has been exported to 76 different countries across the world. This period has been called as uncertain times, unsettled lives, shaping our future and transforming the world. There are various issues which have been raised under HDI, which is life expectancy, mean school years, expected school years, and gross national income. There has been a continuous crisis, which we have seen through this graph, which has been rising in the share of percentage. There has been reduction in life expectancy at birth, and economic contraction has been at its peak into 2021. Now, India's scoring for Human Development Index has significantly declined by 1 point. However, in terms of life expectancy, it has declined significantly in terms of nearly 2 years. The mean schooling range is around 6 years. Expected years are at 11 years. The GNI per capita levels are also declining. India has shown significant rise in poverty. There has been new edition of India's poverty data with the number of poor in the world, which has increased. Now, the new poverty line has been adopted in mid-September, with World Bank updating the guidelines on poverty and inequality. The new estimate comes after including India's updated poverty data, which has been missing for over a decade. For the first time in 2011, we were informed how poor our country is, and here are some of the statistics that have been revealed. The rural area has more poor than the urban area. There have been significant declining poverty line, which has been cited. However, there have been reductions which are higher in the rural area than in the urban area in terms of poverty. Then we also talk about the organic food companies, which are going beyond the marketing for supporting the farmers and bringing chemical free products into the market. There are various companies and farmers which have come together. 24 Mantra is one of the company which has started with just 40 farmers, now has 40,000 farmers covering nearly 81,000 hectares of land in different 15 states. Initially, it was procuring only wheat, mustard, gram and barley, and now it has more lists. Along with the semi-processed, it also has processed products in its list. There are various products which are sold to the global retail chains, for example, Walmart, Hypercity, Nature's Basket and so on. Now, Shrestha is one of the byproduct company which brings in farm to fork and has a series from pre-sowing till the sales. How it works at a way ahead has been mentioned. The next is climate change. Earth has been witnessing climate change in the last decade, and the tipping points would reach if we have a maintained temperature beyond 2 degrees Celsius of warming. So if the temperature increases by 2 degrees Celsius as compared to the pre-industrial level, we would say that we are on the tipping point. That means at that point we would automatically start to move towards climate change and global warming, despite we have certain measures which are protecting us from the issue. The next is the various issues in the Gujarat area. We have the one important camel dairy which has been opened. Now this is in the Kutch district by the Mural Mangal pastoral community, which is basically the Rabari community, and has scattered colonies in Gujarat and Rajasthan. Now the stock has increased to 50 for the camel and has a earning of nearly 60,000 per month from just selling the camel milk. The next is a positive change with this system. There are state ministries coming forward, Department of Animal Husbandry and Dairy, which is working for the various schemes to bring development in this line. So there is National Livestock Mission, Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Mission, Rashtriya Gokul Mission. Then we have another scheme, for example, Sanjeevani in 2010 talked about registration of buffalo, mainly the bunny buffalo and the Kharai camel breed. Similarly, if we talk about this map which we have here, it shows the various pastoral communities. In Jammu Kashmir, it is Gujar, Bakarwal, Gaddi, Changpa. If we talk about Arunachal Pradesh, it is Mongpa. In Odisha, it is Khan, Santhali, Gond, Ghasi, Kela. Then in Madhya Pradesh, it is Banjara, Rabari. In Gujarat, it is Ahir, Bharwad, then Rabari and Sama. So there are various communities which you can see are present globally which are working for the same. There are similar projects which have been working internationally. Pastoralists and their rights have been protected not only in India but in Austria, Greece, Italy. They have been safeguarding the intangible cultural heritage, as they call this. There have been efforts in Spain under the Life Candas project for conservation of the road network which works for the pastoralists. The next is the writ petition for dying patients. Now here, most of the drugs which are life-saving are exceptionally high. For example, one of the kidney drug which is nearly 2 lakhs in the name of Nexavar has been brought down to 8,000. So with the India's development and issues for medical research, this problem can be resolved, and India is now relying heavily on multinational pharma companies to provide the patented TB drugs. Now this is considered unconstitutional and is a violation of Article 21. However, we are still working for bringing in a issue where these kind of drugs could be brought at a subsidized and a cheaper rate into Indian market. The next is the Fujiwara effect, where two cyclones merge if they are at a distance of less than 1400 km and they intensify into a super typhoon or a depression. If there is merger, they would intensify where one of the cyclone is merged into another and intensifies. The other case is staining out, where one of the cyclones merges and loses itself. So in that case, depression would be created. The third case, both of these staining and merger could be either partial or complete in nature. The next is elastic interactions. Elastic interactions occur when there are two vortices which combine and the direction of the motion actually changes. And this is one of the reasons that most of the cyclones actually do not turn out into super typhoon. One of those that turned into super typhoon was Mary and Kathy, and that was in 1994, which brought the Fujiwara effect. Similarly, we had the Irwin and the Karen, which was in 1995, which was again the Hillary and the Irwin in 2017, which again turned out into a super typhoon because of the Fujiwara effect, right? So that's about the Fujiwara effect. The next is the pandemic and the pre-pandemic period. There have been various agencies which have been working for virus hunters, right? And the Abort Pandemic Defense Coalition is one such global effort to identify unique viruses which could trigger the future pandemic. This coalition is working in Jamaica, Colombia, Brazil, South Africa, Senegal, Thailand and India. So this collaboration, where it works, is an extremely important question for your next prelims examination. And then in 2018, Global Virome Genome Project was launched, and this was to identify the unknown viruses which could create a pandemic situation in the future generations. There have been various parallel approaches which require One Health approach. We are working on understanding the various emerging infectious diseases. 70% of those which are originating in human beings are actually animal origin in nature. And there have been one consortium which was held in Hyderabad recently, which brought in account 27 different organizations. So this Abort Pandemic Coalition we already understood, and it identified 3 of the variants, Beta, Gamma and Omicron. There are similar institutions like USAID, Pandemic Prevention, Global Virome and USAID Predict. So USAID, 2 of the institutions, Deep VZN and USAID Predict, right? In Africa, we are now boosting natural gas production. Natural gas and its production is extremely important. Africa has only 9% of the natural gas reserves, and 18 countries produce gas within the continent, of which Algeria, Nigeria and Egypt account for 87% of the production. 80% of the rural Africa lives without electricity. So if this natural gas is harnessed, there could be better electricity scenario to the rural areas within the regions of Africa, and therefore investment in renewable source of energy is another important aspect, where we are also focusing on Morocco and South Africa for innovations in hydrogen, Ethiopia for geothermal energy. So there are different countries working with different aspects. Now these are important, these could be part of your MCQ question as well. So here is a quick list to help you understand where do we have the production and the construction of the gas reserves that are possible. This has been recent deal in Algeria, and this has been post the Ukraine war. Some other important aspect, as I said, the broken rice has been banned. India exports it to 76 countries to ensure that there is enough food for the local population. There is no food insecurity within the country. This act has been taken, this move has been taken. The next is 3 species have been rescued from Mizoram, and those are 2 species of spider monkey which are originally found in America, and one Indri lemur which is native to Madagascar. We are also seeing higher levels of ozone in the lower layers. In lower layers, if ozone is present, it could be cancerous in nature. Europe and China have seen a significantly higher levels. In the regions of Caribbean countries, Fiona hurricane recently led to casualties, and first ever marine protection area has been developed in the Congo region with nearly 4,000 square kilometers. However, this region, this protected area would be providing community fishing zones and protecting any illegal and unregulated fishing practices in the region, right? So those were some of the key aspects that we have discussed. The complete handouts for this down to earth edition would be available on Examrace for free, so don't miss those. The sections where we have mentioned, they are important for your prelims purpose, MCQ point of view. Just keep those in mind. Extremely important sections, down to earth. Every time you have 4 to 5 questions that come directly from down to earth. So if you have been practicing it regularly, listening to the lectures regularly, or going through the handouts regularly, you can definitely have a cutting edge on those questions. Wish you very good luck. We'll meet again very soon.